Hello, and welcome to the Feeling Good podcast, where you can learn powerful techniques to change the way you feel. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda Borowski, and joining me here in the Murrieta studio is Dr. David Burns. Dr. Burns is a pioneer in the development of cognitive behavioral therapy and the creator of the new team therapy. He is the author of Feeling Good, which has sold over 5 million copies in the United States and has been translated into over 30 languages. His latest book, Feeling Great, contains powerful new techniques that make rapid recovery possible for many people struggling with depression and anxiety. Dr. Burns is currently an emeritus adjunct professor of clinical psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Hello, Rhonda.
Hi, David. Let's just make a real quick introduction and jump right back into Todd's personal work. You know, one of the things we forgot to do last week is introduce who Todd was. And Todd is a really incredibly talented team therapist. He works for the Feeling Good Institute, and he also works at a local school. Is that correct, Todd?
That is correct, Rhonda. Yeah, I'm a school psychologist in the Bay Area in Palo Alto.
Oh, neat. And he's a member of both the Tuesday group and the Wednesday group. And in both groups, he takes a pretty significant role as a very important person to support the success of the group.
Well, thank you, Rhonda.
Small group leader, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Wednesday group. Quick shout out to the international group of with you, Rhonda, and with Lee Harrington and Richard Lamb's been really awesome.
Yeah.
Which group is better, Todd?
The
David's Tuesday group or Rhonda's Wednesday group?
It is up there. You know, they're. I got to plug one more group I've been in, though.
Okay.
Heather and Brandon, I've been in a Monday group with the two of them, and they're just super awesome, top of their game clinicians, but even better people.
Yeah.
But I think you know them because they're at the Feeling Great Therapy Center.
Yeah.
So it's a three-way tie, David.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's happy for me because I want my students to eclipse me, and that gives me a great joy as well. And I'm just so proud of you, Rhonda, and this fantastic Wednesday group. Now, one last quick thing before we play the amazing finale to your wonderful session. Then after it, we'll see how you've been doing since. But if someone should want to get a hold of you, what's your contact info? I'll put it in the show notes too. But if someone wants to email you or tell you were wonderful or awful or ask a question or whatever, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, maybe just my email would be great, David. Just todddaily@gmail.com.
And is Todd Daily one word without a dot in the middle?
Yeah.
TODDALY. Is there 3 Ds?
Yep, 3 Ds, David.
3D. Wow, that's cool.
Okay, well, let me read you a real quick endorsement. This is about our episode 244, The Paradoxical Nature of Team, featuring the fabulous Matthew May. And let's see. Again, this is from Ed G. And he wrote, absolutely excellent. I was impressed with Matthew May when you both worked together with Marilyn in the Feeling Great book and the podcasts. And even more impressed today with all of you in terms of your humility, as well as your great skill levels in treating patients.
Well, thank you again, Ed. And now on to the good stuff. And thank you again. And we'll talk to you in just a little while at the end of today's podcast.
So was that, Todd, you were feeling a little bit stuck. Do you feel, which I totally understand, because actually I think the fact that Todd is stuck here is also saying, David, I don't know, that this is a really important one, right? This, like, I should have protected my mom. I should have saved my mom. I mean, I'm guessing that's going to be one we're going to want to make sure we get to, because it was sort of hard for you to see the positive value in it. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to derail here.
But is it really an 8-year-old's job to save their mother, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the idea that you were trying to take that on, does that show that you have a courage and...
Yeah.
Is that important?
Yeah.
Would you add that?
Yeah.
I can see what's happening though, Todd, as we're actually kind of stubbornly paradoxing you, right? Because that's what we do. You're kind of jumping to the other side, right? Which is awesome. I mean, that is ultimately where we'd love to see you, and I think where you'd like to be too, right?
Yeah.
But just so you know, the confusion is a good thing, because we're kind of trying to say, hey, there's these good reasons, and I'm seeing you kind of more and more strongly being like, I would never expect an 8-year-old to protect their mom like that. That kind of, how could you ever expect that of an 8-year-old?
Well, I'll let you rein me in, Jill, but I'm just ready to jump into externalization of voices, and I know it's a little premature.
Yeah. Well, I had a question. Okay. We could. I think we're almost there too. I totally agree with you. I'm not trying to rein you in. The only thought I had is that I also am leaning toward like thinking that the double standard might be a really lovely method too, because it sort of calls for self-compassion. But
yes, that's right.
I don't know that I'm not saying one would be better than another, but that's also another one I'd throw into the hat.
Sure. We could even talk to another see what he would say to a little 8-year-old boy.
Right.
Very much
Totally.
like Todd. That'd be a nice way to do the double standard.
So should we wrap it up with a magic dial, or are you wanting to jump ahead?
To me or David?
I was asking David, but
oh yeah.
I'm always eager to jump ahead, but if you can make the magic dial work, that's great too.
Well, I guess I'll try quickly. In 2 minutes, I'll say, so, Todd, you've...
on the shame. It'll work on the shame.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, like the magic dial, like how ashamed would you want to be tonight?
Oh, right.
Even the positives.
How ashamed am I feeling right now?
Yeah.
No. Oh, not how you're feeling right now, right?
That's a good question too, though.
Wait, is that on which one was?
Well, your shame was 90%, and I guess you said, "How ashamed am I right now?" Our question was, "How ashamed might you want to be?" At the end of the evening.
Like 5 or 10%.
Could you put that in your goal column there? How sad would you want to be? Maybe that would be 100.
Exactly. I want to keep
the goal column. This is a weird one.
Yeah.
How worried and panicky.
But then am I going to be crying like all the time?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You probably won't make it, but if you do, like you'll be the second coming of Christ or something like that. I feel like if we could open up, we would be crying all the time.
And then you'd be consoled by others and connected to others, and you'd have met your goal beautifully.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's so much suffering that in the world that we close off to all the time.
So you're saying it's okay if I keep all of my sadness?
Well, actually, to be fair, like you're the one who's supposed to decide. We shouldn't be telling you what you should and shouldn't. I would
love to keep the sadness.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, and but to get the distortions out of it.
Yeah,
and then we'd have something really, really incredible.
Yeah,
good, clean, unadulterated sadness.
That would be perfect. Yes,
undistorted sadness.
How worried and panicky do you want to feel and frightened?
10.
10. Okay, we'll put a 10 there. How inadequate do you want to feel?
Not much. 5.
5. Yeah, that's good. How alone and lonely and rejected and like that do you want to feel, and unloved?
10.
10. How hopeless do you want to feel?
5.
5. Yeah. How is that enough?
Is that enough hopeless?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
How defeated do you want to feel?
5.
Okay. How resentful do you want to feel?
Is this in this moment in time as I'm thinking about it, or just in my regular day-to-day life, or right now, or just in general?
Jill will answer that question.
That was a lot of questions.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to
as related, I mean, I guess, you have an upsetting event.
Yeah.
Feeling. So how resentful, I
don't really want to feel resentful too much. I want to feel sad,
Sad,
So,
okay,
so resentful, like 5.
5, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Can we dive in now, Jill?
Yes. Permission to dive.
Let's try your double standard, Jill, and see what. How about? Let me. How about if I'm going to be a little boy, kind of identical to that little Todd, or maybe I'll be that little Todd. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And I want to see what you would say to me. Can I tell you some things that have been troubling me, Todd?
Yeah.
I'm telling myself that I should have protected my mom from my father.
Oh my gosh, little Todd, what are you talking about? You should have protected your mom. Your dad was out of control, crazy, violent. You did exactly the right thing. You were making sure you were safe and you're with your brother, and then you came out when you felt it was safe. What's an 8-year-old to do? You did exactly the right thing.
So who won?
I did.
Big or small?
Big.
Big or huge?
Think huge.
Huge, right. But thank you. You helped me with that. But isn't it true that I shouldn't have hidden with my brother from my dad? Doesn't that show that I was a frickin' coward?
I mean, I think you were scared, and you had every right to feel scared. Coward, that feels pretty strong. You're 8 and you're confused, and I can imagine you were scared. It's probably.
I was scared. But maybe I shouldn't have been scared. Maybe I should have been strong and gone to my mother's bedroom sooner.
So are you saying cowards, you're not a coward if you go out and try to get in the way of a drunk, angry, abusive adult?
Yeah, isn't that what I should have done?
No.
My mother's life would have taken a different path.
And that may be true. But my mom's also an adult, or your mom's an adult, and you're not necessarily responsible for her decisions in her life.
Is that true what you're telling me, or are you just being nice to me?
Both.
So you're just blowing smoke in my face?
Well, it's actually the truth. She is responsible for her own life. It's just sad, the decisions she's made repeatedly.
But isn't it true that I shouldn't have been so afraid of my father?
Your dad is very scary. It may be, what 8-year-old boy wouldn't be afraid in that moment of chaos and violence and uncertainty, and you did exactly the thing you should have done.
No, I was extremely scared. You're telling me that was okay?
Yeah. I would be surprised if you weren't scared.
But I have this other thought. When I grow up and tell this in my training group, aren't I just going to be derailing people and wasting time with a sob story?
I don't know for sure what people are thinking. As Jill said, we're going to jump into exposure next week. So it's stay tuned for that. Did I answer that? That one didn't feel very huge, David.
Yeah. So you're saying that I am derailing the group?
I mean, personal work is part of the learning process. and maybe hopefully people learned as much as I'm learning tonight. Like, this has been extremely helpful.
I'm telling myself that because of this thing that happened to me when I'm at 8, I'm way more screwed up than other people. That's true, isn't
it? Could you say that again? Wait, are you the little Todd again? Or am I back to old? Am I back?
Are you back to little Todd?
Okay, you're big Todd again.
Yeah, I'm telling myself that I'm just worse than anyone else in the group. I'm just more screwed up than other people. So I'm kind of ashamed that I'm so screwed up. And that's true, isn't it?
You're not necessarily a screw up. I mean, you've had painful experiences in your life, and you're being vulnerable, and you're trying to make it better now. Does that say that last part again, David?
Well, that I'm telling myself I'm more screwed up. I'm worse than others in my group, and my life. I'm all screwed up.
Kind of silly that I'm feeling that way, or I thought that way. Screwed up. Well, if you had a bad experience or a trauma, that means you're screwed up. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of. Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
No.
Because I have trouble crying, and
that is true. I do have trouble crying, and that's what we're trying to work on tonight.
Mm-hmm. So who's winning?
I think I'm winning.
Big or small?
Kind of big, in between big and huge.
Huge.
I'd love to hear if you guys had any other kind of thoughts on that.
Yeah, sure. Let's work on this. I'm all screwed up. And why don't we do externalization of voices? And why doesn't Jill be the negative Todd and you be the positive Todd? And then we'll do role reversals. Is that okay, cool. Jill?
Yeah, that sounds great. So Todd, you are way more screwed up than anyone else.
Ouch. And you're getting this because I'm sharing this story that I was scared as an 8-year-old boy.
Yeah, I guess so. You had kind of a messy life, kind of some major family dysfunction, and that means that you are way more messed up than anyone else.
I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, for sure, I've had some family traumas and family dysfunction, but screwed up, is that what you're saying?
Screwed up.
Screwed up, like I'm the most screwed up person in this group tonight,
or close to it.
It's quite possible, but is that a bad thing? I mean, we all screw up, right? And where am I screwing up, actually? I don't think I really screwed up. I think I was just maybe
because you can't cry. A really good student would be just sobbing and being vulnerable, and everyone
that is true.
Feeling so close to them.
That is true. I wish I could cry, and maybe that's maybe it will. Maybe it will happen tonight. I would love that.
So who's winning?
Yeah,
me.
Big or small?
Big.
Big or huge?
I think huge.
Yeah. How did you get to huge?
More self-acceptance, fighting back, maybe a little combo.
Yeah, right.
You did a lot of great things in there. You also used like a little be specific. I think you were like kind of asking me questions. And
like what is a screw up?
How exactly am I screwed up? Almost like a what's the definition of screwed up? I messed up because I had some family trauma. Like I felt like you were actually you were doing a really good job. It was almost like a weird fantasy-ish response,
Yeah, exactly.
You did some acceptance, like, I have had family dysfunction. And you even, when I said you're the most screwed up, you're like, well, that's quite possible. But you seem to sort of accept that with some humor, right?
Yeah, why would that be such a bad thing?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
Talk to me in the second person you with externalization of voices. I'll be the little Todd.
You want to be the little Todd?
Yeah, and attack me with, you were a frickin' coward, and, You should have helped your mom and stuff like that.
So Todd.
Yeah, the negative little Todd thoughts.
the negative little Todd. So little Todd, you should not have been afraid of your father.
I don't quite understand that. You mean my fear reaction shouldn't have happened when I was around this dangerous, violent, huge
you're
person?
A freaking coward. You should have gone on and try to see what was going on with your mom and protect her.
I sure wish I could have. Yeah, I really wish I could have. What exactly did you want me to do now?
Maybe just go see what was going on with your mom.
Just
she's
like
clearly
and get in there and kind of beat the shit out of him to something like that.
Could you do that?
I wish I could. I wish I could have.
Yeah.
But I was a little guy, and I was real scared, but I am screwed up in one really big way.
What's that, David?
My name is Todd.
Negative Todd.
Yeah.
Negative little Todd.
Yeah. My biggest screw up is listening to your bullshit all the time, beating on me.
Well, I don't know if there's a negative little Todd. There's just a sad little Todd.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's the negative big Todd.
That's the negative big Todd for, kind of beating up on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little Todd did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's winning now?
All the Todds. Big Todd, little Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, Todd.
We charge double, when we have family therapy. So where should we go now, Todd and Jill? Are there any thoughts that are left at this point?
I guess, yeah. I guess if one of my earlier goals was just kind of feeling closer to people here, I guess, I don't know if I guess I could read the chats or the.
Do that.
Well, wait, I have a question. I have an idea.
Yeah.
One question we would ask is if you look at your list of negative thoughts, do any of these still seem true, right? So are any of these still true, or do any of these still sting in some painful way? So that would be one question. But another thought I have is that you do have some sort of negative expectations from the group, like that they'll think I derailed the group, that they'll think that I'm a sob story. And so I had two ideas for methods related to getting at that. One would be that you could do a survey. Mm-hmm. So rather than just reading the chat, you could ask the group, and we could call on people. You could ask them, how are you feeling about me? Are you wishing we had just done exposure tonight? Are you feeling like I'm a lame ass sob story? So you could do a survey and you could get some answers. And then another potential option that would be a different direction is that we could do like a feared fantasy, because those are worries that you have about what others are thinking of you. And so the other method that would help with that would be, like a feared fantasy, and we would be like the critical group member who's like, you're just a sob story. So
things are unpredictable, but
I love all those
survey
ideas.
might be the more tender approach.
Correct.
Yeah. Can I pause for a quick second? Because we were going over some cool things, and I didn't write a lot of the positive thoughts down.
Yeah.
I guess I could go back and listen to it and do that later.
We can remind you right now if you like.
Or if there was a couple that you...
Yeah. I wrote them down. We can remind you of what they are if you
please.
Like.
Yeah. Because I thought I was doing good.
You were doing great. Yeah. You got to huge.
Yeah.
So with number one, I should have protected my mom from my father. You said I could not have protected my mom. I did exactly the right thing. What else could an 8-year-old do?
Is that true, Todd? Did I do exactly the right thing, Big Todd?
Yeah, exactly. I did. Yeah, that's good. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to process everything. It's a lot.
It's a lot. We move kind of fast.
No, this is.
Yeah. Did I tell you the same thing happened to me, Todd? Kind of.
Which piece?
When I was 8.
Are you being funny again?
No, serious.
Oh, I'm sorry for laughing. No.
I grew up in Denver, and my parents had me join this right-wing, ultra-conservative military group. It was kind of, instead of the Boy Scouts, it was called the Highlander Boys. And so I had to take the bus alone across Denver after school when I was starting when I was 7 years old, and then go to this armory where we would drill with guns and stuff. And if we smiled, they made us pound our hands on the ground for 30 seconds, for 30 minutes.
And your parents sent you to this group?
Yeah, it was like the idea in that era, that little boys
to be strong,
to be disciplined, and then we go to this military summer camp in Estes Park in Colorado, and it was all like a whole military camp, and then we'd have to do guard duty at night and marching through the forest and stuff. And I was in guard duty. Maybe did I tell this already in the group, or?
Maybe you have, but I love what you're saying, David. Keep going.
But it was just, I was guarding the infirmary. That was my position. And I had been there like about 4 hours, and they forgot to change the guard, and it was getting late, and it was really cold. And these two men came along, and I started crying, thinking that, well, maybe they'll realize that something's wrong. And then, they took me behind the cafeteria, and they said, let's whip him because a man doesn't cry. And then the other one said, well, we'll let him go this time, but so don't you ever cry again. And it really frightened me, and ever since then I've had a tremendous difficulty crying, and certain things do bring tears to my eyes, but it's not easy. And when the tears do come, it's like what you say, it's like the most fantastic thing for me. The time that first time I was able to cry is the first time I went to a psychodrama marathon. It was right in Hidden Villa here, just maybe a half a mile from our house. And it was one of those 48 hours marathons, and I finally, the tears came, and it was pretty powerful experience for me. But I mean, I can really identify with what you're saying. That you want those tears to come, and they kind of automatically get closed off sometimes.
What a story, David. And look at you now. I mean, you're the most empathetic person ever.
Yeah, but very screwed up. But I've just accepted it.
I thought I was the screwed up one, David.
Yeah. But I'm the
most screwed up. You could be the second most screwed up.
I'm so grateful to have this group.
Absolutely.
And
so we could be screwed up together. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have high standards. I don't hang out with just anybody.
Got it.
Only screwed up people.
Got it.
Todd, did you want me to read to you a few more of your thoughts, and then we were gonna
just to anchor them? That would be awesome. And then if you happen to have any. Yeah.
We could see if you wanted to do a survey technique to maybe crush a couple more of your thoughts.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have hidden from my dad.
What Todd said was, I had every right to feel scared and to hide. I
shouldn't have been afraid of my father.
Right. I was 8 and scared and confused.
I'm derailing the group.
Oh, and wait, about that, I shouldn't have been afraid of my dad. That was number 4. And that, Todd, you said your dad is very scary. You did exactly the thing you should have done.
That sounds great.
I'm derailing the group. I don't think I caught your response to that, but I remember you saying something like, the group can do exposure next week. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal or something like that. I
didn't crush it. You're right.
Right. And that's one you could potentially survey the group on if you want to.
Yeah.
And then there, you had the thought I wrote down number 7, this will be a sob story. And then your positive thought was, I don't actually know what other people think, but I know that personal work is an important part of this group.
Exactly.
And then you had a thought, I am way more messed up than anyone else. And your response to that was, you've had painful experiences in your life and family dysfunction, but that doesn't mean you're screwed up. But then you also did some self-acceptance, like, quite maybe I am the most screwed up person who really cares.
Exactly. Yeah, that doesn't really sit anymore with me, feeling screwed up. But the sob story, kind of, the derailing, I think, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it sounded like you still had a few other thoughts that kind of fall in this category of worry about what others think of you. Like, yeah, I'm derailing the group and this will be a sob story. And those potentially are questions. Of course we could work on them more, with several methods, or you could survey the group if you wanted to and ask them if they think this about you, and or how do they feel about you. I mean, those are just some ideas. Maybe David has other ideas.
No, that's all good.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I was writing stuff down and I'm trying to listen, and
It's okay.
Yeah, a lot to unpack tonight.
The idea has come up for you maybe to survey the group.
Yeah. Should I pick someone individually?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. I don't have everybody on my screen.
Jacob keeps waving like he wants
Yeah. Jacob. So Jacob, what did you feel like this was kind of a sob story? I mean, I bet you may, or do you think I derailed our group tonight instead of doing exposure?
So as a child psychiatrist, who feels really sad when I hear about terrible things happening to children, I was on the verge of tears like many times tonight hearing your story. So I guess we could call it a sob story if you mean like it's really like fucked up what happened to you, and it's just really sad that this happened to you. And there's nothing else I would rather be doing right now and tonight than listening to you and being here with you and the others of us in the group. And I can't think of a better use of the time. I felt warmly toward you, over the years, and had like a positive association with you, but I feel a lot closer to you than I did before. So to me, this is like a really great use of the time. And I just feel sad that you've been judging yourself for what happened.
Wow. That was certainly unexpected. It's funny how what you tell yourself is different than sometimes how it plays out. Thank you, Jacob, for saying that. Like, I'm blown away. I don't know what to say. I wish I could be crying with you because it is sad.
Angela poached us. I had to turn off my camera. I was crying so much, and then she said something else that flipped off the screen.
So maybe sob story is what it is, and
that's what we're hoping for.
Maybe that's okay.
What Angela said was, I had to turn off my camera. I was crying so much. I love a good sob. It helps me grieve my losses and painful moments too.
And Angela just had a loss.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess I keep surveying. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, sure. If you like to.
I wasn't sure if Richard's still here or if he's here tonight. Cause is he here?
Yeah, he's
here.
Yep,
I'm here.
So Richard, I really look up to you as, the mentorship program, and, you've been so awesome and so supportive. Like, you're the supportive of the 8-year-old Todd that I wish I could have been to myself. But I'm just, do you feel like I derailed the night, and do you feel like we should have jumped to exposure tonight? I mean, because that's what I'm telling myself. And because you wanted to be in a small group and you could have been practicing exposure right now.
A big part of this, Todd, is I think like every conversation we have, I think you always worry that I'll think the opposite. And for some reason, I'm thinking this is kind of like the same now, right? Where you're kind of thinking, oh man, Richard is wanting something else. But every single time, I'm just like, this is so amazing, Todd. I'm so glad that you're doing this and you're putting yourself out there. I think this is like the best thing that could have happened. And when I heard that you were volunteering, I got so excited. I'm like, this is great. And as you know, with personal work, of course, we don't know which direction we're going to go in. So I think this is like the best thing that could have happened. And honestly, I think when it comes to like training different things, we always have time for that. But when it comes to personal work, sometimes I feel like that takes more precedence over everything else. So I'm glad that you're here and that you're sharing.
Thanks, Richard. And a quick shout out to Richard. He brought up something about one time I was kind of like a woe is me. I was trying to do like an I feel in a small group and I was too like vulnerable. So it's like, I'm still trying to balance, like when is it okay to be vulnerable in a big group or when is it not? And, but you don't want the group or your clients to take care of you. And that was kind of the takeaway that I got. Does that make sense what I'm saying or? Yeah.
I can imagine, Todd, that if you were practicing something where you were going to be the therapist and you were with a patient, that there's sometimes the message of like, we don't want to share too deep of feelings with patients and then have them feel like they need to take care of us. But I couldn't disagree more when you're in the role of personal work, because then in a way it is our role. We are your pseudo therapist. And so then I very much want you to be totally open and vulnerable. And my role is to take care of you. Right. Right. It's sort of an opposite role. So
exactly.
Helen is saying we would like to take care of you, Todd.
Yeah,
and Brandon says agree with Helen. And Kate says, I agree with Helen.
And that was exactly what I was saying. Right. We want to be in the role of taking care of you. That's what we would like tonight.
Yeah. I've known Esther a long time. We were in the newbie group together. So maybe I could ask her, because I know Esther likes to take care of business, and she probably would have loved to have gone to exposure tonight. Did you feel, Esther, that we kind of I derailed the night?
Well, actually, I wasn't that excited about doing exposure. This was much better. And I've known you a long time, but I know you so much better now. And I know I have so much more in common with you now. And it is such a relief to find out that I'm potentially not the most screwed up person in this group. Maybe you are, or maybe David is. And, your confession about not being able to feel feelings and how embarrassing that is for a therapist. Well, I'm with you there. Sometimes it can be quite a struggle. So you're not alone in that. And I just love how much you've shared here that has made me feel much better about the things I'm too afraid to share. So,
wow.
Did I miss anything?
No, I think that you nailed it, Esther, as always.
Todd, I just wrote in the chat box, but I wanted to share with you, there's something that I'm feeling like, because you're not just doing a random survey, you're calling on people. Yeah. And it feels very special to me, actually, because I can see like the bond that you have with various people in the group. And it's it's really touching to me. I mean, I sort of wrote in the chat box, like, I just could see this like love and respect that you have for Richard, and then this like camaraderie with Esther. And I mean,
well, Jacob actually was one of my first teachers too. So like he walks on water in my eyes.
Right. So and what Jacob said was so beautiful, but like, I don't know, I'm seeing you kind of come out in the way that you're talking to people. And it's so sweet to see. And it just seems to me that even though what you were wanting tonight was more connection with the group, I'm seeing that you already have so much connection with the group.
How about that?
It's really beautiful.
I wasn't sure if could I do one more? Do we have time, or are we?
Oh yeah.
Or we should cut this off. Cut off the subs.
Do one more. Yeah.
Cut the shit.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure if Elizabeth was here, but we're on the homework kind of team together.
Oh yeah,
I'm here.
If she volunteered a couple of months back, and then I was telling her like, wow, that was super inspirational, and then I so wanted to do that, and it's like I was just kind of waiting for the right time. But I just love working with you, Elizabeth, and you've been awesome just to kind of, even our quick emails. And just ever since I kind of said I was going to do this, you've been, super kind. But you knew the outcome because you did this. So you've been super inspirational to me. I just wanted to thank you for being you. But at the same time, do you think I derailed tonight and we should have gone to exposure? Because you were all set with the homework. You were about to fire it off, and then we had to pivot.
I laugh because I was ready to fire off because it's my own anxiety to make sure that I send out the right homework.
Because you thought you were being snarky with David and Joe, like, give us the damn agenda. Like, we got to get this out to people.
I was like on them less than 24 hours after the group, and I feel bad. But, and I'm partially laughing because, as David pointed out, my personal group, I laugh sometimes when I'm feeling emotional. And as you were talking, there's tears coming in my eyes. It was just, I remember you did personal work maybe a couple of years ago too. And it just touched my heart, and this touched my heart, and I could, I wouldn't have given up this evening for anything. Exposure work, we can do it anytime. Seriously. And as for me, I mean, I'm in the East Bay Center for Anxiety. I do exposure work all the time. So
good point. So you could do exposure anytime. Right.
And tonight was just a gem, and it just touched my heart. And yeah, I've got some tears streaming down my face, but I just related to what you went through in some ways, and just the openness and the see you grow in this group as I have in the couple of years I've known you, and every contact we have, I feel more connected. And thank you so much. It didn't seem like a derail to me at all.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. I thought this was pretty damn cool. If you guys are crying, like that's pretty good. Yeah, again, so maybe the sob story is like, yeah, maybe it was worthwhile.
I was just thinking tonight how proud I am feeling of you, Todd, for just, doing something huge and bringing the magic, but to everybody. Yeah. I'm just feeling like what a fantastic group this is. What a fantastic thing has kind of grown and evolved. And I don't know how to put it, but I'm just kind of sitting back saying, boy, this is so, I just feel personally so lucky, and I think we all feel pretty darn lucky.
I double down on that for sure. I feel so lucky to be here tonight, and just, David and Jill, this is just, such a surreal night, and everybody who's kind of spoken up tonight, it's just in the chats. I'll take a look at that. But again, all of this led me to you guys. So it's like, how great is that? This is where I should be, or this is where I would prefer to be.
About your should statement.
No, this is, what a great night. I'm at a loss. But David, along those lines, if Elizabeth inspired me to kind of take a chance, maybe someone else will want to do the same another time. Maybe kind of hearing my story will inspire others to do personal work.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right.
I think there's many in our group who want to do and will do personal work. I mean, to me, it's just the best. We have to have our teaching too. Otherwise, people don't grasp how you're doing it, and they don't learn how to do it. They're just watching, which is fun, but it's not necessarily good learning. But when it's combined with learning, then it's like the jewels and the crown. I don't think we've ever done personal work that it hasn't been very, very powerful and dramatic. With that in mind, let's just see how you're feeling right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put this in the after column. How sad are you feeling right now and depressed?
I guess I'm not feeling super sad, but again, I want to feel more sadness. Maybe I'll cry after we kind of end our session. How sad am I feeling? In my mind, I'm feeling like 80% sad.
Okay. And how anxious and panicky and afraid are you feeling?
Like 5.
5. How ashamed are you feeling?
2.
2. How
Inadequate.
inadequate?
0.
0. How alone and lonely and...
Not really. After this this is your life moment.
Yeah.
Kind of like maybe a 2.
2. Okay. And then how, let's see if I can...
Hopeless.
Yeah, how hopeless are you feeling?
About 3.
3. How defeated?
0.
Mm-hmm. How resentful and upset?
About 3.
3. And then what were the most healing components for you tonight?
So many. I think the moment of, when we separated the little Todd from the big Todd, and then the double standard, that compassion base, that was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I love the story, David, that you shared about the
Highlander Boys.
The Highlander Boys. That was huge. Hearing everybody speak at the end was like surreal. That was freaking awesome. I guess there was a couple times when you were paradoxing me, Jill, and I started to go, wait, what are you talking about? Like, no,
Yeah, that was especially around these thoughts that I should have protected my mom and I should have saved my mom. And when we were telling you that those were really good thoughts to have is when you started to go, but no, like how could an 8-year-old protect their mom against a violent person?
Right. Exactly. I guess the compassion was the hug, but then the externalization was the zinger. Like, what the hell? Like, no, that really kind of upped it.
Yeah.
And I knew you were chomping to get to that, David. That's your technique. You love that one.
Well, I loved it, but they're all great. I thought the double standard, the warmth there was really, really important. We never got to feared fantasy, but I thought that the warmth was really what was needed. Yeah.
And I want to, I love what you're saying about like, what was the healing moment? And I want to, like, in the spirit of team, like, what's my homework? Like, what's,
well, there's quite a few.
I bet.
First, you finish the end of the BMS after session, and then do the rating of the empathy and the helpfulness on the evaluation of therapy session. You've got the audio or video if you want to watch it. I think that'd be a helpful review. And then when you do that, complete your daily mood log, writing down the positive thoughts, how much you believe them. I think that paper and pencil exercise helps reprogram the brain. And then when the tears come, let them flow. And then there's 3 other important homeworks that Jill will point out.
I love what you said.
Be careful what I asked for. Jeez. BMS, the rating, the empathy, the video, let the tears flow. Yeah. Anything else? No, this is all great.
I'll do all paper and pencil daily mood log. It's
right. Well,
effort.
Right. Aside from the testing piece, the main thing is to listen to the session and to fill out the daily mood log with the positive thoughts, so that you're really like cementing them. Right.
Yeah.
And the only other thing that I sometimes do in a situation like this, and when I say a situation like this, I mean like the sort of adult self being really critical of the child self, even when we can see, versus the antidote being self-compassion and care. And I've had patients also find it helpful to write a really loving and compassionate letter.
Yes, that's right, Jill.
So Big Todd could write a caring and compassionate letter to little Todd, letting him know, that he did exactly what he should have done, and sort of all the different things that you said tonight. And I could imagine that could be really powerful and healing for you too.
Yes, and even more, you spend more time with him and develop a new relationship with him.
Yeah.
And you can
Beautiful.
talk to him and be with him and let him know how much you love him.
I think the little Todd wants to go on a hike once you're feeling better, David.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to get back to our hikes.
Yeah.
I'm still having a little sciatica, or however you pronounce it, but it's getting better. Right now, I'm not allowed to exercise because for a week. But then I definitely want to get back to our hikes with all of the little Todds and the little this person's and the little that person's. Thank you just so much, Todd. I just love you, and I've always appreciated you, and tonight you just made such a huge contribution to yourself and to everybody in our group.
I feel the same way for you guys. Just much love and gratitude, and this is such an awesome night. Like I can't wait to review it and read all the chats and do all the homework, and then we'll get to exposure next week, right, Jill?
We will. Plenty of time for it.
Cool.
What should we give the group a little chance? Maybe I'm going to go back to the other view now. For myself, the gallery view, and maybe people will want to talk to you or ask Jill questions or make comments, like starting with Ed Walton.
I just wanted to say thank you, Todd, for opening up tonight. And I just put this in the comments, but I think maybe the most, oddly, like one of the most moving parts to me was kind of right in the middle of all of it. All of a sudden, you just had this really kind of beautiful moment of appreciation for the entire group. You just kind of stopped everything and you're like, wow, thank you guys so much. And like that actually kind of moved me to tears amongst other things that you said tonight. So I just wanted to just point out what a beautiful moment that was, and thanks for everything tonight.
Wow, that was awesome. I do remember that. Hey, are you from LA by the way? Are you in
LA?
Yeah. So I grew up in LA, but that's for another night. Yeah, got my Dodgers World Series.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah.
They're kicking ass this year again, but they have some competition both from the A's and the San Francisco Giants.
Again, I don't want to derail the night. So if anybody else has any other comments, thank you, Ed. Though that was awesome.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. This is Zaina. I apologize. I'm on my phone and somehow my settings are such that it doesn't allow me to turn my camera on. I also wanted to just say, like, I also am feeling so appreciative of the group and of you, Todd. I feel like it was a really unique night in terms of, like, I don't remember a night where we've done personal work where we were really diving into like a past childhood moment. We tend to, I feel like, often work with more kind of current moments. And it was so amazing in so many ways. And, I've had some stuff in my childhood that kind of feel a little similar to what you shared, and just your courage. Like, quite honestly, I've actually been thinking just this week, like, about some stuff that I maybe want to find the courage to kind of share with on a larger scale. And you just really inspired me. And I'm feeling so grateful to the group too. My whole life I've been someone who just doesn't ever fit in with groups. I don't ever like groups. I never feel like I belong. And this is the first group, like, in my entire life where I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I feel like I so belong here. And people being courageous like you, Todd, and opening up here is what makes this group so incredibly special and such a intimate place to be so vulnerable. So thank you.
in the spirit of disarming, like, yeah, I agree with all of that. This group is super awesome. And if I inspired you, like, Zane, I think we were in the first group together too. So
we were totally. We were newbies together.
Me, you, and Esther. So I've admired you from afar for all this time. Like, you've been a rock star for sure. And if you want to be a client sometime, I highly recommend it.
Thank you.
And you just to throw it out there, you won't be derailing the night.
Okay, good to know.
Just in case you have that thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't feel like you derailed it at night. I was very much looking forward to the exposure, but this is like so much better. And it's been incredible. So thank you.
Awesome. They're very awesome to hear. Thank you, Zaina.
My pleasure.
Just raise your hand if you want to speak, or just speak, or.
I have a possibility. I was struck when you were doing the double standard about, how wonderful that was. And imagine how you would speak to your daughter when she was 8. Because when you were speaking to little Todd as David, you were kind of speaking as an adult to an adult. And I wonder if it might go a little deeper or be different if you imagined, an 8-year-old, because I'm sure the tone of voice and the caring that you would convey would be deeply moving and touching.
Yeah, Cliff, there was a moment where it was like I was fighting back and I thought I was winning, but then it was like little Todd, big Todd. Wait, which Todd? Am I negative Todd or big? And it was like, but you're saying not only that, but you're saying if I would talk to my 8-year-old daughter.
No.
What?
No, it's just that you did have an 8-year-old daughter, and I know you have
right.
love caring for her. And so I think that you would have the same compassion for little Todd. If you could see him as a little boy, and don't speak
exactly
like in adult mode, which is kind of what you're doing. I think it's interesting to see what would happen. Yeah, I like the idea of writing the letter.
I'm definitely going to do the letter.
And hanging out with the little guy and forming a new relationship with him.
And Helen actually suggested in the chat that what you could also do is if you could find pictures of yourself around that age, and you could look at those pictures of yourself and really picture talking to that little 8-year-old Todd, and write the letter to that little boy.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm curious how you feel about being consoled at this point. That was one of the things that you were kind of steadfast about in the beginning. If that has shifted.
Oh my gosh, this is like awesome. I mean, this is like, this is unprecedented. It's now that you bring attention to it, it's a little awkward. But yeah, I don't feel like you're consoling me. I think we're just kind of appreciating our group. And I love that too. So, but you're onto something about, as soon as my daughter was 8, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's how old I was when all of this was happening. And I was just struck on how little, like she wouldn't have got it, just like I wouldn't have got it, or I shouldn't have had to protect my mom. Yeah. I'm also looking at the time. I'm don't want to monopolize people's evening, because usually we finish at 7. So I'm kind of like, but I'm happy to hang out, and if other people want to chime in, or.
Well, let's go to 7:15. I said we'd go to 7:30 tonight, but we moved faster than what we thought. So it'll give people some time to ask a few more questions. Then we'll get out at 7:15. And
I think Kai has his hand raised.
Yeah.
Hey, Kai.
Todd. How's it going?
It's going okay. Yeah.
Good. That's good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear. I'm so happy that you shared yourself with all of us tonight. I just wanted to let you know that I strongly respect you, and I think the world of you for everything that you've shared with us tonight. And if you were thinking that you were derailing anything or wasting our time, then I would say that would echo everyone else in saying that if this is called wasting or derailing time, it's time well spent on my end. And I really connected with you, particularly with feeling as though it's hard to get connected with your younger self, because there have been many times where I look back at my own childhood and I realize how kind of distant I am, and sometimes how it's a little bit hard to get back into that mindset. And so I'm rooting for you, Todd. You're almost there, I think, and I'm super happy that you've been able to start that work with us today.
Thank you so much, Kai. I got to say, last week when you were with Richard and you were so, you went to sadness, and so I was like, wow, how does someone do that? And so that was also super inspirational for me. It's like, I love that you're able to do that, just on the spot. It's a combination of Richard's amazing work and then also you being able to be vulnerable in front of all of us.
It actually takes a lot of work to do.
I bet. I know. And I clearly have a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because I'm the most screwed up person here.
What kind of work? Kai?
A lot of writing down my own negative thoughts and learning how to be more compassionate to myself. And, and finding out all the good reasons why it's better why it's advantageous for me to be hard on myself. That kind of thing. It was very difficult at first, but I'm glad that I stuck through with it.
Yeah, Jacob.
Yeah, thanks, David. So, Todd, I wanted to expand on something that Cliff was saying and also tie it to what you were talking about, that sometimes it's hard for you to access that sadness and feel it.
Yeah.
And I wrote this in the comments, but that's something I have struggled with too, is sometimes I can be, I don't know if numb is the right word, but maybe detached, or I'll hear about something and just not experience something. And an optional therapy homework assignment, but totally up to you, is as a fellow father, sometimes I imagine what if my son was going through something, and then it just changes it for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would never want that to happen to my son.
Exactly.
So it might be painful to do, but kind of like what Cliff was saying, but if you imagined when your daughter was 8, and this would be painful, but if you imagine her walking in and seeing, a man, her father, whether that's you and her mom, or whether that's your actual father and your mother, seeing the father figure kind of beating the mother, I imagine that could bring up a lot of feelings for you, imagining her doing that. And then if you flip, even that alone, just letting the sadness be there, and or flipping kind of then to little Todd being in that situation. But whatever it takes to let the sadness be there is okay, just so you get the practice being with sadness.
Perfect. And if you're saying you have a hard time going to sadness, you sure showed that tonight. So I got to say, nicely done.
Thanks.
And I'm definitely going to do that optional homework. No, that's required for sure.
Yeah, I think it's painful and I think it's hard, but you've been so brave and courageous tonight with this. I was going to write, I don't think I would have had the courage to share a story like that in the group. I thought it was really beautiful and wonderful that you did that. So
thank you, Jacob.
Willingness to do it. And
One quick, are you saying, imagine my daughter, but would I be the person fighting with my wife, or how would I set that up?
Like your daughter walks in on you beating her mom almost to death, or her walking in on your father beating your mother almost.
I see.
But it's your 8-year-old daughter, and she has to experience this fear, fusion, and it's so terrible. And let yourself feel that really deeply.
Okay, I will definitely do that. Wow. A couple more hands. Sarah Motter.
Hey.
Sarah and I used to work together at a school in Fletcher. She was in team before I knew what it was, so she inspired me to join this group. So
that's right. Oh my gosh, how do we go way back?
We go way back.
And I've always admired you, but nobody can top today. It's been, I'm so deeply moved by what you shared today, Todd. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. So I have just, while I was witnessing and hearing your story, it felt that when you were able to see your 8-year-old, it almost felt that from that frozen 8-year-old and who felt all that shame for not protecting your mom, it almost felt that you started seeing the whole scene from a different perspective, as if it was, again, wow, this is an 8-year-old, like, and you were so able to show up for that 8-year-old in that moment.
Exactly.
Kind of seeing, wow, this is so awful what is happening. Instead of being in that vision, it allowed you to acknowledge and see and realize what was happening and how awful that is, and how you couldn't do anything else than being scared. So and to me, I kind of saw something for you changing in that moment, but that
I'm welcoming the 8-year-old back in my life. So
yes, that's right. Forming a new relationship with the little Todd.
I love
protecting that 8-year-old from what was happening.
For those of you that don't know Sarah well, she's from Italy, and she's always talking with her hands, and she gets really emotional. So I want some of that too, Sarah.
Jill, it's 7:16.
Yeah.
Should we call a stop here and let people out, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. And again, I just love the group. I don't have to do much anymore. Just there's so much wonderful stuff happening and just happening spontaneously here. And what a joy that you brought us such a wonderful evening. I hope that somebody's taking slide shots of I think maybe you've got some of them, Alex, because they're just flooded with, tons of comments for you, Todd.
I've got all the chats and I'll send them to you, Todd.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Okay.
That was so nice.
So good night, everybody, and on to exposure next week. Take it away, Rhonda.
Well, Todd, I was just thinking that I was in the Tuesday group when you did your work, and it was so touching and kind of upsetting hearing about that last evening with your family. And there were a lot of tears in that group, including my own. And what was it like to have the adult Todd talk to the younger Todd in the methods section? What was that like?
Yeah, David will often ask, like, what was the healing moment? And I'm not sure if that's a new technique or not, but I think that the double standard where David played the little Todd and I was the adult Todd, it just kind of brought it to life, like how young I was when it really happened. And then when we talked a little bit about my daughter and when she was at that age, it's just the combination of those things. It was just, it brought it to life. And like these thoughts were just ridiculous, especially when we started using some of those techniques and the externalization of voices technique as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's been a couple of weeks. It hasn't made by the time this podcast, a couple of months since we've done that. You did that personal work with Jill and David. How's life been so far? Are those thoughts coming back? What are you feeling now?
I think I was just telling you guys, I've been on a high ever since. I've just this sense of calm. Life is great. But like in a really real and authentic way. David will often talk about the deaths of the ego. And I think this was kind of part of it, just kind of letting go of like needing to be special or perfect or expecting some kind of outcome and just kind of going with it. And just much gratitude to that night and feeling awesome. Some may say even feeling great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool.
I don't know if you want to say anything more. I mean, what you just said was like what the Buddha said 2,500 years ago. It was not a trivial comment, that it was about the death of the ego, not needing to be special. I mean, that sounds so simple to say, and yet it's such a powerful construct, and so many people are afraid to let go of the need to become special, thinking if I accept myself, my crummy, flawed self, I'll be settling for second best. And so people cling to this ideal self, this idea that I'm going to become this special, fantastic person who doesn't have flaws. And you're saying that you just decided to give up and settle for second best, I guess.
I don't know if I said that. I think.
Well, I'm trying to put some words in your mouth.
No, you're right. It's I think the self-acceptance piece is just so huge, and it's like it sounds so simple, but instead of, like you said, trying to be perfect or trying to be special, and just allowing yourself to say that I am who I am, accepting with my flaws and with my background and what happened to me at 8, and that's okay. Doesn't define who I am.
Would you say that it enhances who you are?
It absolutely enhances who I am, because it brought me to you, David and Rhonda, and the Tuesday group, and like we talked about that night.
And it brought you to your wife?
It exactly brought me to my wonderful wife, Lisa, and my wonderful career in the Bay Area, and just, so much admiration and not respect, but just gratitude to, and like you said, almost to what happened has helped me more than I would have thought.
And it brought you to thousands of people who are listening at this very moment. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Todd, for giving this tremendous gift of yourself and your sorrow, your anxiety, and the joy that you've experienced. And I'm sure you'll hear from many people. We love it when you email us and you tell us, where we screwed up and what we did that you liked, and sometimes you give us ideas for shows you'd like to hear. And so we just want to give a great big hug to all of you, and a big hug right now to you, Todd. I love you, guy. You've just been you're working some miracles for people, and starting with yourself, and now for a lot of other people as well.
Well, thank you for that, David. Definitely a win-win. Yeah.
Cool.
Anything in closing, Rhonda?
Oh, just thank you so much. I can't wait to hear what people think about this. To me, this is one of the most moving experiences I've seen David and Jill do. So, I'm really grateful to you, Todd, for sharing it.
And we're going to have one coming up here pretty soon with Rhonda and David. It's more live work. In fact, we've got a lot more live work for all of you, tons of it, in fact. So I hope you're really enjoying it and learning, whether you're a mental health professional or a general public person. Our goal is to help you, to serve you, and to heal you, and hope that's happening. So goodbye, and warm hugs to all.
Bye.
Till next time.
Bye-bye.
This has been another episode of the Feeling Good podcast. For more information, visit Dr. Burns' website at feelinggood.com, where you will find the show notes under the podcast page. You will also find archives of previous episodes and many resources for therapists and non-therapists. We welcome your comments and questions. If you want to support the show, please share the podcast with people who might benefit from it. You could also go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. I am your host, Rhonda Borovsky, the director of the Feeling Great Therapy Center. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite you to join us next time for another episode of the Feeling Good podcast.